Pint of lager, rum and coke, and a fruit shoot for the little one, please, mate. It'll match his jumper. Oh, yes!
There we go.
That was brilliant.
Every single week. You think he can't top last week?
And he
comes out with something like that.
he goes and does that. Not honestly, are my socks still on? I think you just knocked them off.
Oh, that was brilliant.
That was incredible. Cheers to another week. Welcome back, everyone. How have you been?
Splendid.
Better. As in, I have been better.
You've been better.
Not like the past week has been better. I mean, I've been better.
Why?
I'm back here recording this.
Oh.
Hey.
Right. Well, before we continue anywhere, we've done quite well on social media. The views have gone a bit through the roof. I've been stopped in the street about 4 times. People asking if I'm.
But it doesn't help that you walk around with your trousers off, does it?
Well, that as well, and they're also asking if I'm linguini off Ratatouille, and I'm not. They don't recognise me from.
We've
this
had to have
top.
the door frames widening in here because my head just doesn't fit through.
Absolutely huge, isn't it? But
And so that you can fit through in the chef's hat with the rat control on it.
Exactly, 2 birds, 1 stone. Now, the one video that's hit some big numbers is our post kind of saga dilemma of why first and second class take longer, and of course, you explained what that was.
Yeah.
Now, since then, we had a conversation about twins, and I've got a follow-up for you.
I just want to quickly note, by the way, the twins thing. I said it was 1 in 250,000.
Mm-hmm.
I got the 250 bit right. I added 3 zeros at the end that were unnecessary. It's
Right.
Your chance of having twins is 1 in 250, but
there's some nice little facts there, but I don't actually know the numbers. But I did speak to one of my colleagues at work. Shout out to Dr. Tom. This is for you. And he's informed me that the chances of, to recap, a twin sisters and twin brothers who meet, marry, have kids, their kids to be twins, they will genetically be like siblings. They'll share very, very similar DNA, if not the same, but obviously they're cousins. However, the physical characteristics may differ. So they'll probably look exactly the same, but they would have different fingerprints. And
Okay.
so it could, because the DNA gets represented differently when they're concepted. And the analogy is, imagine a jar of marbles from the mother and a jar of marbles from the dad, and it's just there are a handful of marbles, and then they're amalgamated together.
Oh, okay.
So it's it's the same marbles but a different order of which.
Yeah.
Which then we said off the back of that, if they'd committed a crime and scenes of crime came in to see who it was, if somebody had bled on the scene or there was a drop of saliva on a glass or something, they wouldn't be able to tell them apart. But if they'd left a fingerprint that was different, because they're always always individual, then they would be able to tell them apart.
That actually isn't true. It's a myth that every single person in the world has different fingerprints. That's a myth.
Well, yes. Obviously, identical twins have the same, right?
Well, not just twins.
I'm not too sure, to be fair.
It is a myth that every individual person in the world has different fingerprints. There was a man in Florida who was sentenced for a crime that happened in somewhere like France or Spain because his fingerprints matched. He'd never even been to France or Spain.
It's just down to chance then.
Yeah, but it's a complete myth that every single person... It's like the whole thing of people saying every single snowflake is different. That's a myth as well.
There's a lot of snowflakes
about. But in terms of the weather, but people say every single snowflake is different, and that's also a myth because they've found snowflakes before that have the exact same structure, and it's the same with fingerprints. There's no evidence to support the fact that every single person has different fingerprints.
There we go.
There's
What a lovely little recap that was.
There's a cool little fact for you.
That was really nice. I hope you all thoroughly enjoyed that very fun fact. Now, news. What have we got?
I've got a couple for you.
Anything interesting this week?
Yeah, so when we first came up with this podcast, one of the things we agreed we weren't going to do was focus on things like politics or football and stuff, because there's many podcasts out there already.
Because they're all wrong.
No, it's just because you two told me I wasn't allowed to do that.
Well, there was that as well.
Yeah. However, one of my news articles is about football this week. And the reason for this news has changed since when we were going to film this a couple of days ago to now, because everything has changed so quickly.
Why couldn't we film a couple of days ago?
Joe?
Yeah, sorry guys. I was de-radicalising my neighbours.
He's a busy man.
We've run into the problem at the moment.
So the football.
So, yeah, there has been a chaos over the literally 72 hours.
I've heard about it, but I'm not, as you know, I'm not an avid football fan.
12 European teams, 6 from England, 3 from Spain, 3 from Italy, decided that they were going to break away from the current European competitions and start their own Super League. And the thing that caused the major issue with this is that their position or their place in that competition was not earned through merit. It was guaranteed year in, year out, regardless of how they finished their season.
Okay.
So I originally wanted to bring this up because I wanted to get two neutral people's view on it. So two people that
I'm more of an alkaline, actually.
Okay.
It's
cool.
It's pH joke.
One neutral and one alkaline. Thanks for the clarification, Joe.
It's a Pornhub joke.
And I wanted a neutral view on it. However, literally within the space of 48, 72 hours,
Which one is it?
it has
48,
collapsed
72?
somewhere in the middle of the two. It's collapsed completely. Every club, apart from 3 so far, has formally announced they're leaving the plans. They're not doing it. So I just wanted to bring it up as a bit of news that actually, within the space of 3 days, fans of football have managed to take down 12 of the richest clubs in the world.
What were you expecting our neutral reactions or neutral responses
Currently,
to the news
at the time, I
article
wanted to understand what your views were on it. As a football fan, I felt quite strongly about it, and I felt it was really wrong. And I wanted to establish whether that was just me feeling that because I'm engaged in the game and invested in the game, or whether it is a genuine view that it was wrong what they were doing.
What would your views on it be, Tom?
I do agree that it was wrong what they were doing. I don't understand the sportsmanship of fans and the tradition of the leagues that are already there and the backing that they give them, because I'm not a football fan myself. But I see it from a point of if they're entering into a league that they don't need to qualify for, or they don't need to achieve points or whatever it is to get onto it, then that's obviously quite clearly unfair. And I have seen off the back of it the upsets and kick-off it's caused amongst fans outside stadiums and protests and
like
that.
people putting up the banners and stuff like that.
How dare they put up a banner?
But what's amazing as well is them doing that has actually stopped this from happening. Like these clubs are
power
owned
to the
by
people.
Exactly.
billionaires and literally royal families. And the ordinary Joe off the street has managed to stop them from cracking on.
I feel like people were shy of burning stadiums down at one point. Like, I think that's like
Which is the last team to pull out of this agreement?
There are 3 left in it.
Okay.
Or 3 that have formally not formally removed themselves yet, which is Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Juventus.
So it's just 3 teams.
My second piece of news,
Very super.
which is wow, Thomas. That was an atrocious joke.
Well, I wasn't a joke.
he was
Oh, I thought you were
saying
having a
there's
play on words with
only
super.
3 teams left. It's not really a Super League when there's 3 teams left.
Oh,
Don't worry,
okay.
Tom. I understood and
Thank
I
you, Joe.
appreciated.
Thank you. Should we just carry on just me and you?
Yeah, I can turn
Yeah,
this
I'll
microphone.
leave.
now
That
if
would
you
be
want.
nice.
Just click the button.
Go on, your second piece
Yeah,
of
my
news.
second bit of news. Hopefully, we've all seen the calamity of Marks and Spencer's and Aldi
Oh, brilliant.
going at it
Yeah.
over Cuthbert. But
Bless him.
my favourite bit is whoever is running Aldi's social media page deserves a pay rise.
Absolutely killed it, haven't they?
Absolutely
What an
nailed it.
incredible job. I think what they might have done is given them complete free reign, and then whatever
Gets said, gets
Oh,
said.
whatever
Absolutely.
gets said, and just it's our lawyers will just cover our
Treat it
backs.
like it's the last day in the job.
We're already in enough trouble. Let's get some social
Have
media
a bit of a
backing
laugh.
here as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
And then they've done
But
a
then on
perfect
top
job
of that, they've one-upped him again and called them out and said that they're now donating the profits of the cake to their cancer charity. And
Yeah, and he said, let's join teams. Come on, let's water under the bridge. Let's raise some money for some charities.
I mean,
off a nice chocolatey long
Absolute
log.
unbelievable play off Aldi.
This is Marks and Spencer's like high-end, expensive retail store. Not retail store, but supermarket.
I mean, it's
like,
not quite a Booths or a Waitrose. But
no,
It's
but
a struggling supermarket chain. Don't get it wrong. They're clutching at straws anyway.
they're running out of grammars to shop there.
Absolutely.
They are.
COVID's done a right number.
Well, but they are a bit more of an expensive shop, aren't they? That's the thing.
They are, yeah.
Like-
And I think they've seen Aldi as this
I've said
European
this.
company that's come over and he's taking all of their
I've said
clientele.
that Marks and Spencer's is like an expensive supermarket, and Aldi is a very, very, very affordable supermarket.
They are.
And they've not gone after any other supermarket. And they've all got the Caterpillar cake things, right? And they've only gone after essentially the cheapest one. And it literally just seems like a store that's made for expensive people is going,
Yeah.
there's poor people
Someone's
buying
doing
these cakes.
better.
I'll be totally
I don't
honest,
think
though,
so.
the fact that no brand or supermarket prior to M&S has yet to try and sue Aldi for blatant plagiarism is beyond me.
I think we talk about supermarkets a lot, don't we? And the top and tail of it is, why buy one Caterpillar cake from M&S when you can get 3 Cuthberts for the same price from Aldi?
Yeah, exactly.
Have some sponsorship, boys. Come on. Let's hype them up.
Aldi, please sponsor us. We're struggling.
Yes. Now, I'd like the bit of news that I would like to contribute, and
Yeah.
we're changing things up a bit here. NASA this week have launched their first helicopter.
Controlled by a human helicopter
Yes,
on Mars.
a powered flight off of Mars from their
First on any planet other than
first
Earth.
on any planet. And it's absolutely fascinating that the drone's called Ingenuity, okay, and it was airborne for less than a minute, but it's a huge achievement, you know, considering the atmosphere there and all that. But what I found fascinating, and this is a nice little link into I was today years old when I found out, is that NASA actually took a stamp-sized piece of the Wright Brothers Flyer 1. So the first plane, the first powered flight.
Yeah.
And they attached it to the fuselage of this helicopter.
That's pretty cool.
So that piece of material was not only the part of the first powered flight on Earth,
But the first
powered flight on another planet.
That's so cool.
And I just think that the thought that's gone into that is absolutely fascinating.
That is really, really cool.
Absolutely love that kind of fact and information.
And I think it gets
And I
lost a
do
lot,
hope
that.
you were today years old when you found that out.
I didn't know about that.
there you
I
go.
have an interesting thing about the Wright brothers, right? You might cut,
Right was right.
you might cut this, you might not, right?
Right.
The Wright
Right.
brothers' parents conceiving was a domino effect to 9/11.
Yes. I couldn't argue otherwise.
Let's go one more step. God creating the earth in 7 days was a domino effect.
Maybe you should have taken 8.
Yeah.
You know,
Imagine
really,
if there were
just to
8
really
days
round
in a
off
week.
those edges.
Imagine if there were 8 days in a week.
Wonder why we
What
were
would you
on
do
that
with
last
a
day.
whole extra
I'll be
day?
totally honest. The fact that someone actually managed to not just create a year where we don't have to have a leap year every 4 years is beyond me. Surely there was a way we could have
Do you
solved
know
it.
why we have a leap year every 4 years?
I do indeed.
Oh, so this isn't going to be ours today.
Tom,
years old.
how many days are there in a year?
365, Joseph.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Well,
There's
it's actually, sorry, 365 point something.
0.25 because then every 4 years it all adds up and creates that extra day.
Yeah.
So why did we need to do this?
You
Why
are-
did someone not just go, hang on, that doesn't make sense?
You're aware it's based on the orbit of the sun, aren't you?
But what I mean is someone has created the concept of our time at some point.
Time is a whole concept. We're going into a rabbit hole. We don't need to pull on
You've
this
just
string.
segued me perfectly
We
for
don't
my
need to
next.
pull onto
I was
this
today
string.
years old when I learnt.
Okay.
You were talking orbits of the sun. Now, Pluto, obviously, you know,
Not
rest
orbit
in
of
peace.
the sun. Orbit of the planets around the sun.
Okay, well, Pluto, rest in peace, is no longer a planet as of 2006.
I was going to say as of over a
but-
decade ago.
Well, yes.
Welcome
but,
to
you
the
know,
future, Tom.
It cuts a bit deep. Well, poor Pluto. But did you know that between the time it was discovered in 1930 and 2006, it never orbited the sun once?
Yeah, it's not completed the
It
orbit.
takes 248 years for Pluto to do one singular orbit.
Earth years.
Earth years, yes. I mean, what other years? Light years?
Well, there's
Tell you what,
Alien
if
years?
it takes 248 light years, it's never getting around.
Well,
Avatar
there
years.
is one Pluto year. You could make the argument
Well,
for.
one Pluto year is 248 human years.
If you have a look at the diagram,
Or
of
1,736 dog years. Quick calculation there.
if you ever look at the diagrams of orbits and stuff, so many of them are, I don't want to say normal, but like so many of them are like just circle, and then the last couple, especially Pluto, is this massive oval,
Arching oval,
huge oval, and you just think, how is the sun is so massive that the planet can be as far, well, the dwarf planet can be as far out as it is, and it still comes
got a
back around.
gravitational pull
It's
upon it.
crazy. Space is so cool.
I would really appreciate if we make a weekly
Talking
a
about
weekly
space,
gesture
space
to
update.
space.
I'm
It
subscribed
would
to
be nice.
Apple News's space update things. I get them all the time.
You'd probably be better being subscribed to NASA's space updates. I feel they're a bit more up to date with it.
I mean, the NASA ones go through Apple's space news thing. It's not Apple don't just make them up and go, oh, NASA's not done anything interesting this week. Let's just say we found a new planet somewhere. It all comes from NASA.
Now, I feel like we all like a healthy debate at this table, both in front of camera and off camera. I know my parents could certainly testify that me and Joe like a healthy debate.
Honestly, the fighting in this household.
Don't know about healthy.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's definitely not healthy. But we had a message come through.
We did.
Of someone that has been listening to the podcast.
We did indeed.
And he said, this show is garbage. Please stop.
That was
So
one of
we
them.
deleted that one and we got a second one.
The guy that messaged us is called George Allen.
George, this
Said
is
he's-
for you, George.
It certainly is. Thank you very much for messaging in. He doesn't usually like podcasts, but he likes ours. So, well done, boys. Done well there.
Firm handshakes all
Absolutely.
round. Well done.
Oh, have you been tested?
Oh.
And he's brought up a topic that I am genuinely interested to try and find the answer to.
I don't think there's a way to find the answer to this.
I think there is. I think we should send you around the world and do the research, Joe, and then we'll meet you back here
At the very least,
when Pluto next orbits the sun.
Only if there's beautiful women at every country I visit.
nice.
So-
At the very least, for George's sake, we will thoroughly discuss it over a drink or two.
Yes.
on
Certainly
a Few
will.
Scoops podcast, airing every Monday.
At 5 p.m.
So, globally, do you think there are more people or chairs? Chairs being standalone seats, so not stadiums or trains or sofas.
Singular chairs.
Absolutely.
Are we talking armchairs as well?
Yeah, something that would fall under the bracket of chairs. So
Okay. Wow.
let's rule
Okay.
out things like what we're sat on now. We're sat on stools. We won't class those as chairs.
Well, don't tell them. Shh.
But now for me, I am torn. Joe's looking at me because we've already argued this.
Yeah.
We have had a bit of discussion about this, George.
I am of
and-
the
and
firm belief, right? There's more chairs than people.
You now, what you're going off the basis of in your household, regardless of sofas and armchairs, look like just think dining chairs. Your average dining table is what? That's 4 chairs.
We've
Four
got
to
6.
Okay, you've got a 6.
And then there's a
Posh.
chair there. Dan has one in his
You've
room.
got your desk
I have one in
chairs.
my room. So we're already on 9.
Yeah.
Garden chairs outside brings us to about 14.
So you're
And it's a
outnumbered.
4-person house.
Imagine if chairs like suddenly grew
Sentient.
intelligent, sentient, and decided to take over the world. It'd be like the Simpsons episode of the dolphins.
My
no.
argument
No,
for
no,
that,
no.
though, then, is there are areas of the world where
There are no
they
chairs.
don't necessarily have chairs.
Sit on cushions
Absolutely.
or dirt.
Now, if we say in seats, I am absolutely. I'm just gonna gloss straight over what you just said there, Tom. I am absolutely
sits on
certain there are
cushions?
more seats than there are people, because
Yeah.
you can class all sorts of seats. But as actual chairs, I would make the argument there are more people than chairs.
We're talking 4-legged, hard-backed chairs.
Yes.
No, not 4 legs, because I brought this up earlier. His chair upstairs,
Oh,
my chair
okay,
upstairs, has a singular leg with wheels
A
on it.
singular turret with 5 off-cast casters.
Well, mine's got more.
Wow, that's a posh
5.
chair.
Yeah, it has 5.
I swear it's got 6.
You should go and
Well,
count your wheels.
regardless,
But
like
we don't have the time.
the whole thing is like because Dan was earlier, he was like, "Oh, it's got to have 4 legs." I was like, "Right, so what do we have
No, yeah.
upstairs then?"
No, it doesn't have to have 4 legs at all.
Exactly, could have 3 legs, could have 2 legs.
But no, I think
Show me a chair that's got 2 legs.
I literally about an hour ago watched a Zach King video in which he sits on a chair that's
Shout
got
out
2
to Zach
legs.
King.
And
How does that work?
I watched it and I was like, how the hell is that not falling over? And then he sits on it cross-legged at one point, and then he gets off it and walks off.
You've been doing some real research
and I was
into
like,
this to try and...
you know, it just came up as like furniture illusion things, and the last thing he does in the video is sit in this chair, and I was like, what? I was like, how was that?
Just
And then he gets
mind-blowing.
off it and walks off, and I was like, what?
I would
What?
genuinely be interested to know the answer as well. So,
Oh,
George,
them-
if you want to watch this and then give us the answer next
Do
week,
some thorough
feel free to
research.
send us a message.
Okay, so I've got something I want to bring up because I never bring topics to the table.
No, you don't.
I
It's
normally just
incredibly annoying.
I normally just chime in.
Honestly, I think this is above
No, you-
topic
So-
bringing
You just
to
bring
the
spilt
table.
drinks to the table.
So this is something that I was on a friend with my walk, Cole. Shout out Cole.
A what? A friend with my walk.
I was on a walk with my friend Cole.
okay.
Definitely
Shout
said that
out
the wrong
Cole.
way round.
I
First
didn't.
time round you did. Carry on, mate.
No, I
Show
didn't.
must go on.
Anyway, so I'll ask you this question, and I'll give you my answer whilst you're pondering over yours. Oh no, this was because I was speaking.
Can I not ponder it,
I was
please? Can I
speaking to-
peruse?
You can do whatever you want, mate.
Thank you.
It's your life. Do whatever you want.
No.
I was speaking to my cousin about this. He was reading something of these, and I was like, that'd be a great topic to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most awkward date you've been on?
Ooh.
I was going to ask you this one week.
This is
I
a
was
good
genuinely going to ask
question.
this one week.
The thing is, I've only been on dates with people who I've been in relationships with. I've not been on dates with people who I've not then continued to date. So I don't think I've got many awkward ones, but the only one that comes to mind is it was my first date with my ex-girlfriend, and we were watching.
It's all right, mate. It's
F
all
in the
right.
chat.
Take a breather. We can cut it if you need.
Anyway. So we'd gone to see a film and we missed the start of the screening for the one we wanted to watch, and we're like, oh, whatever. And I was like, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is on. Can we watch that? Because Spider-Man's my favourite superhero and stuff like this. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. And we were watching it. I'm not going to spoil the film. I mean, it's been out for 2 years now, 2.5 years.
All the Spider-Mans die.
If you've not seen it by now,
Everybody
then what
dies.
are you doing? Most people, not everyone, but there's a bit in it where like he's getting this really, really dead motivational speech from his dad, and like something's happened just before this moment and stuff, and I started like bawling my eyes out, like silently just sobbing, and like, this first date, and I was like middle of the cinema screening, first date, and I'm like, this isn't nice. Well, yeah, this isn't nice. I thought, oh my God, this is really, really embarrassing. First date with someone and I'm sobbing in a theatre. So that's the only awkward one I can really think of. The rest of my dates
It's like
have
you
been...
went to hold a hand awkwardly. She's like,
Yeah.
why have you got such sweaty hands?
She actually grabbed my
no,
she
it's
actually grabbed my
fine.
hand and like held my hand while I was just sort of
His
weeping
hands
to myself.
slid out of
Because I was there like hands agape like
Oh.
crying, and she just grabbed my hand and held my hand. It was really nice.
This is still quite a traumatic event for you, isn't it?
You know what? This was over 2 years ago.
For those
now.
not watching and just listening, Joe does actually have a slight tear trickling down
I
the left
don't
side
have
of
a
his nose.
slight. No, I don't.
You do.
That's a proof. Zoom in. There's no tear. There's no tear.
All right, Dan, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, most
Considering your
awkward
girlfriend's
date.
behind the camera. Was it your first date?
With Jessica.
Yes.
No, and I don't really
It
have
took
many...
too long to say no. then.
It wasn't affirmative, like, no, absolutely
Of
not.
course no. it wasn't.
No. I don't really have many awkward dates.
Oh,
Yeah, I was thinking the same. They're never been awkward. I'm just.
I mean, there was a date I went on with Jess very early on.
Oh,
That,
I'm liking the start.
it
of
wasn't
this.
awkward on Jessica's part, but I genuinely thought by the end of the date that she was never going to speak to me again.
Okay.
and what a better place it would have been had she not.
Look at the face.
The look I just received from behind the camera was one of disapproval.
Unsurprisingly.
Thoroughly.
Jessica and I are both Manchester City fans, and I regularly go to the games, COVID permitting.
Sure.
I haven't been for quite a long time.
It's
Rick.
all right, mate.
I know it's
You're
quite
almost
difficult.
crying as much as Joe did talking about his ex.
I didn't cry.
I know.
I don't.
We've just had to cut the recording, Joe, so you could go and cry.
It's been 25 minutes sobbing in the toilets.
Oh, I can promise you, there was only 30 seconds of that was sobbing.
Right, come on.
There was another
Moving
30.
on.
So we were that day we were playing Crystal Palace, who no disrespect to Crystal Palace, but should have been a game that we won. And thanks to an absolutely wonderful goal, Crystal Palace ended up winning the game. However, I get quite animated at football. I'm very passionate about it, and I've got to admit, there was moments in that game where I was stood up screaming at the referee, the players, whoever, because, you know, Daniel Benham was going to make a difference to the game and how the players were playing, and would stop, look around, and be the only guy in the stands stood up shouting.
Oh, dear.
And have to sit back down again. Now, when it's only your second or third date, that's really not good.
No.
Really not good. However, it's obviously worked out, but that's as awkward as I could really think.
It's not
I don't think
incredibly
I've really
awkward.
had an
That's good. It's a
awkward date.
success story.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I'm thinking the same. I haven't ever had a really awkward or kind of bad date.
Yeah.
They've always gone quite well. Maybe, I'm just good at turning things around, mate. I don't know, but
My dates never go awkward. It's afterwards when they just
Stop speaking
So
to you.
Dan and I had, and you're probably well aware of this. We had a theory for many years that there was a 3-date curse. On the, and you would reach and I think it started.
I've not heard this.
I think it did actually start to kind of self-fulfill itself. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy because we were kind of adamant that after 3 dates, it just wasn't going to work. That it'd go tits up and there'd be a reason you'd get ghosted or whatever. And this was a good few years, wasn't
honestly, it was genuinely
The
something
3-day
that
curse.
kept on happening.
it? Yeah. And then eventually, obviously, we just overcome it and, we realised that it wasn't a 3-day curse. It was us. We're just awful people.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
God, you're speechless there.
So,
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I think
Wow.
I'm having a
Hang
stroke,
on.
guys.
Not again.
Take this
We're genuinely going to have a
think I'll
bloopers
have a
reel of
stroke.
us just having brain
Thinking
farts.
about the curse thing, it just reminded me of something. I think my brain was trying to kickstart something in my head. So, me and two of my boys, Jose and Forhad.
Boys,
Shout out Jose and
lads.
So we
Lads.
we used to play pool all the time at bowling, right? Both at the same time, which is quite impressive.
Played
really.
pool at bowling.
It's quite impressive, that, isn't it?
But something that Jose always did was he'd sink 3 shots in a row and then couldn't pot anything for the rest of the game. So we called it the Curse of Jose, and it was the only person it happened to was Jose. It just reminded me when you were saying about the 3-date curse.
Yeah.
Curse of
Reminded me-
Jose sounds so
it was
much
like-
cooler
it
than
was like-
3-day
doesn't it?
curse.
Yeah.
It
Ours is really lame.
yeah, it just reminded me of that. Like I said, my brain was trying to kickstart. It was in there somewhere, and I was like, "What am I looking for? What am I looking
Brilliant.
for?"
Well, speaking of numbers, I've got a very quick. Is it just me that wonders?
Okay.
And it's if 4 out of 5 people suffer from diarrhea, does that mean that the 5th one enjoys it?
As the 5th person, yes. I've actually got something.
Like, where do they get those figures from? That they suffer from it. So then does that surely means that the 5th person either doesn't suffer from it or does indeed enjoy it?
I've got a quick thing. This isn't for is it only me that wonders? This is I was today years old when I found out.
Nice, link it back.
Wingdings font, right?
Okay. Oh yes, everyone knows
Wingdings.
it. Microsoft
Yeah. Oh
Office.
my
Wingdings.
Lord.
So where did it come from? And
Where did it
why
go?
does it
Where did it
exist?
come
As
from?
a
Can't I, Joe?
kid, learning how to word process in year 5 IT, I thought it was Egyptian hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
That was my thoughts.
Are you trying to tell me that you still don't think it's Egyptian
A
hieroglyphics?
little part of me does, yeah.
Where do you think it comes from, and why do you think it exists?
I presume it's a code. It's
not. It's
Okay.
not. So it's really cool. So wingdings in its most basic sense, has existed since printing existed. But not like printing from a printer, but like
When they
the
had
printing press.
like a press, yes.
Because letters used to have to be sorted manually, right? But then, like pretty letters and prettying up documents and stuff, how do you do it? So they made a standardized like font, we'll call it, to pretty up letters and pretty up documents and stuff. So it was like just pretty symbols basically, and they were originally called dingbats. Which,
like the
and
catchphrase kind of thing.
Yeah, but there wasn't a reason specified in this video that I watched about why they were called dingbats, but they were basically just ornamental pieces to slot into print. And then once computers came about, Herman Zapf, who is the calligrapher responsible for the Zapfino font,
Is he still alive?
he's not.
Okay, no shout out to Herman.
But he's a person who created the Zapfino font. He created what were called Zapf dingbats to be used printing in for computers.
Yeah.
And then his proteges, Charles Bigelow and Chris Holmes, I don't know if they're still alive, so possible shout out to Charles Bigelow and Chris Holmes if he's still alive. If not, sounds like your problem. But they created what were called Lucinda icons, stars and arrows, which are the symbols from Wingdings, and then Microsoft bought the rights to those symbols.
Lucinda is an actual font now as well.
It is actually. You know your fonts, Daniel
I
Bennett.
do.
He knows it.
Is that on your CV?
Knows
Should be on there.
knows
don't use Lucinda.
knows that Lucinda
Use
is a
Arial.
font. But yeah, so Microsoft bought the rights to it and called it Wingdings, which was a combination of Windows, dingbats, and a winding, wingding is a term that means party.
Yeah.
And it was a combination of all three of those words.
A group, a party
And so
of people.
it was never intended to be used as a font. It was always used for prettying up documents and stuff, and that is why.
Use it for a border or.
And so what it means is, Wingdings is the original version of the emoji.
Wow.
That's cool,
Wow.
isn't
I just had a little bit of a mind blown emoji moment.
it?
That was.
Yeah.
Keeping on the topic of fonts and typing, if I was to, and we've all seen this dotted around Twitter and TikTok, if I was to draw a symbol now on the table of two parallel lines intersected by another two parallel lines, what would you call it?
It's not called a hashtag.
Noughts and crosses.
No, that would be the game we would play using it.
I know it's
But
got a
what
name.
would you actually
I know
call
it's got
it?
a name.
Helicopter pad.
And what do we refer to it as on social media?
People call it a hashtag, but I know it's got a name and
Correct.
I can't remember the name of it.
It is not called a hashtag.
Well, it's a. God, we're really showing our age here. I mean,
I
we are
know-
all
I know
born in
the
the
number.
90s. We should know this.
I
but
know its name. I can't
it's
remember it.
actually called. I've heard it on. You hear it on the phone when they give you the options and press such and such. To
No, they just say hash symbol.
oh, did
and
they
it's
say
still
hash symbol?
wrong.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
don't they?
but it's not
Yes.
called. I
It's
can't
called
remember.
an octothorpe.
That's the one.
Ooh.
The octo is the 8 lines.
lines.
People don't know where the thought bit of the word comes in, but it's called an octothorpe,
There's
not
only
a hashtag.
4 lines.
There isn't. Oh wait, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there is.
We've just debunked it. What a stupid name.
I say
How
we
baffling is that?
email Oxford Dictionary and
We'll have a word.
yeah,
We'll have a word. We'll
I'm
bring it
happy
up. But
about
that's
that.
not an octothorpe.
An octothorpe.
that's quite cool.
Don't have the same ring,
It
though,
sounds
does
it sounds Latin. It's probably got some sort of meaning that's beyond our
Just-
intelligence.
just-
now, I would like to end today's podcast on a quick game. We like to bring little games in, and this one is called the Magic Door. If you already know it,
Magic.
then shut up.
Never
But if
heard
you
of it.
don't, then we'll play ahead. Now, I'd imagine a door, and I'm telling you now that this door is very magic, very magic indeed. Like Gandalf and
Dumbledore.
and Dumbledore combined kind of magic.
They're from different universes.
Oh,
It really is magic.
That's how magic it is. Okay, and through this door, you can take particular things. Some things you can take through, some things you can't, because it's magic. Okay, it's not a large door like yours that fits my chef hat and your ego through. It is just a magic door. Now, through this door, you can take a puppy, but not a dog. You could also take through this door a spoon, but you wouldn't be able to take a knife. You could take a kitten, but not a cat, or even a book, but not a magazine. Can you tell me why this door is magic? I'll give you more examples. You could take a boot, but not a shoe. Definitely not a shoe. No. But you could take a moon, but not a planet. You'd never be able to take a planet through, but a moon would happily go through this magic door. It's a very large door. I'm judging by the confused
Is there any
looks.
hints that you can give at all?
I'll give you more suggestions.
Oh.
You could take a cook through the door, but not a chef. So you couldn't take Gordon Ramsay through, but you could take your local cook. You know, your high school cook. They could go through.
I hate riddles.
You could take a pool, but not a lake. A lake wouldn't go through.
Dude, I hate riddles
but
so
a
much.
pool would go through.
I think I've clocked this. Could you not take a
Hang on,
beagle
hang
through?
on, hang on.
You could take a poodle, but not a beagle.
But you could take a poodle, but not a beagle.
I think I've clocked this. Is it? They've got two of the same letter in the.
I don't know, Dan. Any suggestions you would like to add?
Really?
Because
I like to
you-
think I'm quite good with riddles, but
You
this
said
has got
you said
me.
moon, not a planet. Cook, not a chef. Like cook has two O's in it. Moon has two O's in
Absolutely
it.
nailed it. You can only take through this door
Bloody hell.
items that have double letters.
Yes, I got it.
And I would very much like to know in comments or emails or faxes or even a telegram sent from your home
Or
address
to the PO box.
what you would take through that door and how soon on in that riddle you actually figured it out.
Yeah, you sit and wait
And
by your fax
that's-
machine, mate.
That was the last orders bell, fellas.
Yeah, I think that's a.
It's been a pleasure, hasn't it, this week?
me on a high. Great way to conclude.
Jess looked so
Yeah.
happy then. She went, "You could take me, Jess."
You could take Jess.
Yeah, could take
but
Jess,
not
but-
Sarah, your other girlfriend.
Not together, anyway.
No, definitely not together.
Sarah's
Maybe one at
got
a
two
time.
A's in it.
Sneak one of them round the back
they've
door.
got to be next to each other, of course.
Yeah,
We'll,
of
we'll
course.
speak about it afterwards,
All right,
Jess.
cool.
It's okay.
Beautiful. Well, thank you ever so much, everyone, for listening. And more so, thank you for all your support on social media. We've had a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah, it's been huge, actually.
Genuinely
positive.
blown away
And,
by
and
it.
one thing that really established that we've made it is we're getting hate. We are getting hate
No,
on social
hang
We
on.
were
media.
called millennials.
Give me a
No,
sec.
I
Give me
know,
a sec.
right?
Called
I'd
millennials.
like to clarify something. You two got hate. Someone said I was the only one
Somebody
with a
said
brain.
you waffled
Someone
too
said
much.
the guy on the left waffled.
Yeah.
I said
You're
three
on the
things.
left, my
I said
friend.
three things in that video.
Far too much.
Yeah.
Cheers, fellas, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, guys.
See you next week.